I'm going to go over the Beatitudes, but before I get to the one for today, I'm going to go back and talk about the one I posted yesterday, which I will probably delete that video. I was in a hurry and I was trying to just really quickly get through it, but when I did that, I completely forgot what God had brought to me in a dream. It wasn't even like a dream. I'll get to it. I'm just getting ahead of myself. So when I talked about it yesterday, it is Matthew chapter 5 verse 9. It says, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God." And I talked about how God gives us peace and we should be able to pass on that peace to others. And being a peacemaker is sometimes difficult. I even gave a scenario of what had happened to me yesterday, where when I was pulling up to a stoplight, a guy just hit his reverse lights and was trying to come backwards towards my husband and I when we were driving. And of course, in the moment, we were getting angry. Like, angry is a little harsh. It was more like surprised. Like, I was like, what is going on here? You can't see my hands. I threw my hands up. I was like, what is going on with this guy? Why is he just hitting his reverse lights? And he did this at 2 stoplights. So the next one, after he had done that, we had come up again. And then we were like a half a car length away from him, and he slammed on his reverse and tried to back into us. And so in that moment, my husband was just like, if he wants to hit us, he can hit us. We have insurance, it'll be his fault. So that was like two directions we could have went with that. We could have engaged in some road rage activity, or do what we did and just realized it was not worth it to get involved in that kind of drama at that point. But the main point of why I'm redoing this one is, again, yesterday I took a nap and I was just, how do I explain it? It was like I was thinking of something, but I was sleeping. So in my sleep, I was thinking of the story of Abigail, and David had been angry at Abigail's husband, and he was about to come over there and start some mess. It could have ended up in people's deaths. And Abigail got word of this, that David was coming, and so she was very quick-witted and ran over to him along his journey there, and was able to give him all these gifts and say, I'm sorry that my husband acted this way and did all these things and was angry, but I don't want to have you come over there. Think of all the innocent people that would be involved in this, I'll use the word battle. And because she kept the peace, God put it on David's heart to just accept that and go back home. And so she was willing to put herself in a vulnerable position to keep the peace between her village, or where she lived, her family, her husband, and between David and his soldiers. So that's a big example of a peacemaker that you can find in the Bible. Now today I'm going to go over the last beatitude, which is Matthew chapter 5 verse 10, but I'm going to read through to 12 because they all kind of go together. And it said, "Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven, for in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you." And this just goes to show that the kingdom of heaven is yours if you're willing to accept the persecution that comes along with following Christ. If you think about it, nowadays, when you find your relationship with Christ and you start speaking what is truth, what is in the Bible is truth. And once you start speaking on that, sometimes you will lose friends. You will have relationship with family members who that relationship will change. And let's say if you're a YouTuber, I don't consider myself a YouTuber, so I just make these videos, but I watch other people, other ministries on there who have gone through persecution. That's the only word I can think of. Or haters, there we go. They go through hate comments and people call them crazy and things like that. You just have to be willing to take it because you're sticking to what's in truth. And if you think that following Christ, you won't have to go through that, where people won't hate you, you have to remember that they hated Jesus. They persecuted Jesus. So if you are followers of Christ and you think that you're not going to come across a time in your life where you will be persecuted for his name, then that is a rude awakening. Because like it says here in verse 12, in the second part, it says, for in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you. And the ones that were before us, who walked with Jesus when he was here, they were killed. And even after Paul, he was a follower of Christ and preached the word, and he was eventually killed as well. So we may not be in a time right now where that is something that we're going to encounter. Most of the time we encounter social hate, I guess. If you don't follow along with what society wants, then we're the weirdos. So just prepare yourself, because the Bible does talk in the end times that Christians will face some kind of persecution, whether we're here for that or not. It's just something that is put in the Bible that we will experience. And so if what we experience now is just some hate, then I'm willing to accept hate comments or people not liking me because I choose to follow Christ. And I guess if I'm alive when that time happens, who knows the time or the hour, only God, I'll be willing to be persecuted just like the apostles before, because my love for Christ is never going to change. All right, guys, I hope you always stay in the light.